back to the. No, I'm not projecting anything.
Okay.
I can hold this, I think.
Tied under the just lift the, yeah. Take it.
So that's why I think something is not balancing from. Yeah, Hare Krishna. It's okay. I think it's okay. It's good. So I'm in between the transition from online mode to the in presence. That's why I'm using my laptop. But we got used to this laptop. Using laptop to take classes for almost 2.5 years now. So anyway, I'm holding for a bit.
Let me try one time. If it doesn't work, then you hold it. Yes, perfect. I think initially take one away.
This is blocking me. Better. Hold it. Sorry. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Welcome you all for this Sunday Feast program, devotional program in 4305 Sandbars Road, Wrong ISKCON Temple. I'm very happy to be here amongst you to have your association. And I've been asked to speak about the pastimes of Lord Jagannath and also some details on the Jagannath Rath Yatra. The very well known and very famous Jagannath Rath Yatra originally happens in a state called Odisha in India. Previously it used to be called Odisha. And it is celebrated every year on a particular date. That is the second day of bright half of the month called Ashad. It comes on June, July every year. So the same day, in several parts of India and some parts abroad also, the same Rath Yatra festival is celebrated. This is one of the most prominent outdoor festivals of the Lord celebrated in India. And in some places abroad, devotees celebrate Rath Yatra festival in different parts of the year based on the weather conditions, local authority permissions, and sometimes the convenience of the devotees, and also sometimes because of the other constraints. By and large, what we see in ISKCON is across the world, this festival is celebrated at least once in almost every community. So, Jagannath Rath Yatra, where the Lord, along with his Lord Jagannath, along with his elder brother and sister, are taken into procession, is called the Chariot Festival. It has a very special significance this year because after 2 years of a restricted festival because of the COVID restrictions, this year the festival, as they have made it an open to all festival. So several devotees have participated. Based on the public domain information that we have on the festival that was conducted on July 1st, 1 million people attended Jagannath Rath Yatra in Puri itself. 1 million people. So, in Jagannath Puri Rath Yatra, Lord Jagannath, along with his sisters Subhadra and Balram, travel from their main abode, that is temple, to another temple called Gundicha. Temple Gundicha Mandir, it's called. The route is about 3 kilometers. It's a straight road. The road is called Grand Road. The chariots are taken in procession with the loud and ecstatic kirtan, ecstatic chants of the holy names of the Lord by the devotees. And the 3 kilometer route sometimes takes 4 hours, sometimes takes 6 hours, and sometimes takes even several days. So this Rath Yatra itself is a kind of a miracle, and how it happens in a safe and secure manner year after year. And I have a very close friend called Machindra Das. He has visited Rath Yatra. He has participated in the Rath Yatra 17 times and 12 years in succession. So he gives a lot of details about Rath Yatra. So when we talk about this 3-kilometer route that Jagannath, his sister, and Balram take to go from the main temple to the Gundicha Mandir, which is going to be the summer resort for some time, the chart sometimes stop. They just don't know. Whatever devotees try to do to pull it, it doesn't move. Sometimes it stays there for days, and sometimes it just goes on. So the miracle and the very interesting pastimes of Jagannath Rath Yatra can be seen by just participating in Rath Yatra itself. As I told you, this year there were about 1 million people, on the street, and a lot of people also stay rooftop to watch that festival because it's very interesting and blissful. Many acharyas also have told the importance and the benefit one gets those who participate in the Rath Yatra as well. So the history of this Rath Yatra festival actually dates back long back. It started from a historical perspective when historians have documented this Rath Yatra, its origins. They came to a conclusion that it started in 1230. It's almost 792 years before. It's going on year after year. Even during COVID, it was there, but it was in a restricted thing. So several philosophers, historians, devotees, spiritual leaders from various paths of devotion have elaborately talked and written about Lord Jagannath and Rath Yatra. So that includes not only the believers, but also that includes the mental speculators and people who are inquisitive, to the extent even the atheists. Atheists, even though they don't say that they believe in God, but when it comes to Jagannath Rath Yatra, there is some common thread of an experience that nobody can not feel it. So in that way, there's lots of literature and documentation, commentary is available on this subject matter. Even within ISKCON, there are several devotees who have spoken about the Rath Yatra, the glories of Jagannath, the secrets of Jagannath Rath Yatra, and many things about the devotees associated with Rath Yatra and Jagannath Baldev Subhadra. So I'm sure most of you also would have heard many times, many times, and you have also read some books about it. My only objective here, when I come before you with a very humble mood and attitude of each one, and also treat this association as a relishable revision, or in the Sanskrit they call it Punasmaran, revision. We know something, but we relish when we again revise it in the association of devotees. So in that same mood, I am in front of you. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Tasmai Shri. So I am born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master has opened my eyes to the thoughts of knowledge. So worship of Lord Jagannath, Balaram and his sister Subhadra is very much ingrained into the activities, festivals, and worship of ISKCON. Several congregation members and devotees have deities of Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra in their homes. Yeah, we call it altars, or many of them have. And the important thing about having Jagannath deities, Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra deities, and start worshipping, practically I've seen devotees who have these deities at home and they start worshipping. They develop a very intimate relationship with the deities. The very worship of Jagannath is very interactive. The deities are very interactive. So they develop a very intimate personal relationship with the deities. Much more than the deities of Nrsimhadev, Radha Krishna, and several other forms. Because of the very personal nature of the worship that is ingrained in Jagannath, they develop a very personal relationship, and Jagannath deities are also supposed to be very interactive, as I told. So that is the reason probably why we see and hear about so many pastimes. When deities, you start interacting with deities either through mind or whichever medium that is there, are naturally so many things that come up and you experience, right? And particularly so, among the interaction that they have, many devotees who worship Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, they get very attached to serve the lordships in their home by offering food, by offering bhog, what we call it, taking prasad. Because Jagannath also has got a very special thing where one of the boons that the king Indrajumna was, about whom we are going to discuss today, asked Jagannath is that he should never ever take rest in eating. That's why Jagannath temple has got the world's biggest natural kitchen. And continuously, the food preparations are there, and they're offered to Jagannath. And he is always there. The king actually asked Jagannath that your hand should never be dry. So you eat, we clean it, and then again we feed it. So devotees also get very, very, very attached to offering bhog to that. And not only that, they do, they also are keen to see other devotees also do that. I have a very practical example of this. Last 1 year in 2021, my wife was here in Round Rock serving my granddaughter. I was alone for almost a year in my place. And some of the devotees used to give prasadam. And I used to see, because we also have Jagannath deities, but we're not very good in that kind of worship, like unlike our other congregation members. So I used to observe, they used to notice that I'm not doing proper thing and I'm not offering to Jagannath particularly. So when they used to help me with prasadam, they used to give me 2 containers. So one is offered, and the other they said, Prabhu, please offer your Jagannath, he's starving. Not only me, more than me, they have that interaction, with the deities. So that's a wonderful thing that Jagannath deities have. So today, the next course of 45 minutes, we'll try to remember some of the pastimes and the glories of Jagannath and the details about the Jagannath Rath Yatra. But it's also important when we dwell into these topics, we need to know why we do this and what's the benefit of this. In our scriptures, there's a lot of importance given, of course, to chant and to develop the taste to chant. And there are several parameters or several things, markers that we need to be careful and monitor to be able to chant properly. One of them is our ability to enjoy and talk and remember and relish the pastimes of the Lord. More and more we do it, more and more we become purified, and more we become purified, more and more we chant, and more we chant, and more we develop the taste to listen to the glories of the Lord. So in this connection, there are several references in the scriptures. Today I'll cover 3 or 4 of them before we dwell into the pastime, because that's a move that we need to invite. It's not that you do not know. Again, I repeat, whatever I'm saying, most probably you would have heard it many times, or read many times. Let's take this as a collective revision of what we know. So one of the famous shloka that comes about in Srimad Bhagavatam is 127. It says, Shrunvatam Swagatha Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtana, Hrudayantastoya Abhadrani Vidunoti Suhusatam. So basically, in summary, this shloka says, Shrunvatam Swagatha Krishna, by listening to the sweet pastimes, transcendental pastimes of the Lord, what will happen to us? Hrudayantastoya Abhadrani. We get purified. Our heart gets purified from whatever contamination it has got, and that purification will help us to relish more and more to listen or to chant of the holy names of the Lord. Listen about the Lord and chant. And again, similar instruction comes in Srimad Bhagavatam when Kapila Dev is talking to his mother Devahiti. Kapila Dev gives a lot of details about many aspects of material creation and something like analytical study of the material creation. Ultimately, he dwells quite a lot about the devotional service in practice. So in that process, he basically tells his mother how the practitioners, the believers, practitioners of the Lord, can develop a taste and increase their devotion. He says, Satam prasannan mamavidya samido bhavanti hrutkarna rasayana kataha tadjoshanat asu bhavatmani shraddha rati bhakti anukramaskyati. So basically, again, what he's telling, Kapila Deva is telling is Satam prasanna mamavidya samido. The glorious Lord who does so many pastimes, it is very nice and pleasing and very regenerating for devotional service when devotees come together and prasanna. That means prasanna means discussing and talking about the glorious pastimes of the Lord, and thus they cultivate such knowledge, and then they become advanced in the path of liberation or bhakti. And more so, by doing so, they develop what is known as an attraction towards Lord. So initially in our devotional life, what we tend to have is attention. That we know that we need to do something, but we need to work on that attention to become attraction. And once we get attracted to, then automatically a lot of things that have to be told will need not to be told. So once you are attracted to something, you tend to do it as a passion, right? So there's a very famous saying in this material world, in the organizations, they tell us to motivate us to work. If you love your work, you no longer work. That they want us to love work so that we no longer work. We don't think if we are working, that's a passion. So same way, Satam Prasanna Mamavirya Samido gives us that platform where we can develop the taste. And again, in the later half, at the end of the Srimad Bhagavatam also, similar concept is told. Shravanam Kirtanam Dhyanam Harer Adbhuta Karmana Janna Karma Gunam Ja Tadadhya Akila Chestitam. So Shravanam Kirtanam Dhyanam Harer Adbhuta Karmana. The glorious pastimes of the Lord and the appearance and the activities of the Lord and the quality of the Lord. If you remember, it's very good for our devotion service. And you then slowly surrender. Atma, it also the shloka, the second part of the shloka, and Atma Nivedana, like, so you basically surrender everything to the lotus feet of the Lord. So a similar also discussion happens, and yeah, if it's so attractive also, we need to know why Lord comes and why all these pastimes are there. As I told you that Lord comes, Lord and his devotees or several incarnations come down from their holy abode to perform this. By performing these activities, we somehow tend to notice them, and then we tend to have an attention towards them. And while having attention and remembering, we tend to get an attraction toward them. This is one of their main purposes of why they come and do it. And this is also established in Srimad Bhagavatam in 10:33-36. Anugrahaya Bhaktanam. That means to give, as if to give mercy to the devotees. Manishim Deham Asita. The Lordship come as human-like forms, and the forms that we can relate to. Bhajate Tadrisha Krida. So they also perform. Krida means play, pastime. They do a lot of activities, killing demons, and doing some naughty things, and lifting something. And by doing so, they tend to get our attention. And then, Yashrutva Paro, Tat Paro Bhavet. By listening to that, the practitioners get very much attracted to those things, and they keep on repeating. And that is their start of the purification. So this is the mood in which today also we are trying to invite to know the importance of hearing the pastimes. And also in Bhagavad Gita there is a very important shloka. Ultimately what happens? Okay, I get I become attentive, I get attraction, I do devotional service, I keep on remembering that thing about the Lord and His activities. What happens? Today we are remembering Lord Jagannath and His pastimes. Bhagavad Gita says that Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vedi tattva tekva deham punarjanma naiti mam eti swata. The one who remembers knows my activities, my appearance in a proper manner, in a way, in reality. Of course, later, before chapter 7, chapter Bhagavad Gita 2, once they leave this body, they will not come back, that means they go back. So these are the major advantages, or the acharyas, the teachers, are telling us about the importance of remembering the past tense of the Lord. So, having set that ground, that there is a definite benefit for our own spiritual progress, for our own purity, of remembering the past tense of the Lord, we will quickly dwell into the manifestation of Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra as we see them today in the temples or in our home altars. So the history of this dates back into not this yuga, this age, but in the first age, the Satya Yuga that is called. In the fourth yuga cycle, the Satya Yuga comes in the first. And the details of, the complete details of how Jagannath, Baldeva, Subhadra deities have manifested in the form that we know today are described in Skanda Purana. There are 108 Puranas of there. 18 Puranas are there, sorry, 108 Upanishad. In one of those 18 Puranas is the Skanda Purana. It's detailed very much. And some part of the details are very well captured in this book by His Holiness Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj called Sri Jagannath. I am going to tell a very brief synopsis of that. Okay, so what happened at that time, a long time back, there was a very nice king by name Indradyumna. He was a very nice devotee, and as his devotion increased and increased, one day he calls one of his main priests. The kings typically used to have temples and priests and so on. And then he asks a very important question. And this question actually is the one foundational and so important, and it later we come to know how the manifestation of Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra is based on this single question. And this single question is very much relevant for us and ISKCON as well. He asks his priest, please find out a great holy place, okay, where I can see Parabrahma, the Lord, face to face. So he himself is a devotee, but he's asking, he kindly keep a note of this question, it's very important. First, he's talking about a holy place. Where is that holy place? And in that holy place, where is the God? And can I see him face to face? This is a very significant question because the tone and tenor of unfolding the past time is a result of this wonderful question. Because this question was so potent, the person who tried to answer also had to give us a very valid, strong answer. But then, if you look back, the word Parabrahma, he doesn't use Krishna, Jagannath, or anything. He basically kept it open, but his condition is holy place, Lord, face to face, where he can interact with either deity form or the Lord himself, right? So the word Parabrahma comes in many places in our scriptures, particularly significantly in Bhagavad Gita, when in the 10th chapter, after Krishna talks about karma yoga, the yoga of connecting with Lord through a work, yoga of connecting to the Lord with meditation, the yoga of connecting to the Lord with kind of devotion, yoga of connecting, and all three using a yoga of connection with through intelligence. And after that, Krishna himself reveals who is he. And after knowing who is Krishna, Arjuna addresses him like that. He doesn't address him directly as Krishna. He says, Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan, Purusham, Shashvatam Divyam, Adi Devam Ajadevam. So then, this is where Srila Prabhupada translates that word Param Brahma. Param is supreme. Brahma is, Brahma can have a different meanings. It's big, great, and so on and so forth. And who is the greatest personality? Who is Parabrahma? So, and in the meaning of Parabrahma, we get to know from Bhagavad Gita, that is none other than Lord Sri Krishna himself. And that's the reason why the Parabrahma and the very name of Krishna, Srila Prabhupada has given us in a very beautiful form, the Supreme Para, Supreme Personality, Brahma, personality of God, the head of the God. Supreme Person of the Godhead is nothing but the Parabrahma. In an abstract sense, when the great scholars and have tried to unpack the word of Parabrahma, they tried their best because the inquisitors, the mental speculators have got, they're also very, very knowledgeable people, they try to unpack, and they ultimately come to a conclusion, the one who is beyond all descriptions and all conceptualizations. So that is their way of getting. And another way of describing is that Brahman is the causeless cause of all causes. And this is the kind of language they use, right? The people who are very inquisitive. But nevertheless, Lord also, the Lord who was there in front of Arjuna was addressed as Parabrahman by Arjuna. Arjuna was so fortunate enough to know who was Krishna at that point in time. We had the opportunity to have that face-to-face dialogue. But for us also, we need to know this Lord, who is the Parabrahman, is also beyond description and beyond conceptualization if you are in the mental speculation. But if you are coming into the mood of Jagannath, mood of an interactive mode of worship, mood of a desire to have a face-to-face dialogue with the Lord, the Parabrahma becomes very easily accessible. And that is the whole crux of the philosophy of Jagannath Rath. So basically, and it's also very clear that Indradyumna was not an impersonalist. He was a devotee. He knows what is meant by Parabrahman, and he wants to see him face to face. And he also knows Lord, the experience of the Lord or the presence of the Lord is much more in holy places than in the normal places. So he's very well aware. So he's not an impersonalist. So the worship of Jagannath, that's why it's very personal. Indradyumna wanted a face-to-face. We may not have that facility, but we have at least the deities that interact with us. So that interaction, being face-to-face, being near to God, and being very personal, started from there. And then, of course, then he gets information that there's a wonderful place in called Neelachal. That's the place in Odisha. Neela means blue, Chal means mountain, and the blue mountain in those days. And they give one of the persons in that assembly who he describes a very, very beautiful place and a temple, and he said, this is a place that you have to go. It's a holy place. Lord is there. He's in a very interactive mode. He's called Neela Madhava. And in Orissa, it's about 4 hours drive from the main Jagannath Puri temple. There's a place called Kantilo. The temple is still there, and we worship, and we have a small ISKCON center also. In 2018, we are very fortunate enough to go there. That's a Neela Madhava temple, which is worshipped by a tribe called Sabari tribe of devotees. He used to worship, and he gives a very good description. And then King gets very enthused. And then he said, no, we have to go immediately, because he wanted to do that, and he wanted to answer this question. But then he is told that no, you cannot directly jump and go there, because before you go, you have to make all the arrangements there and see what is there. Your entourage can go there or not. Car park is there, security protocols are there, paparazzi is not there, and so on and so forth. So then he agrees. So then the priest's brother Vidyapati is sent. He's also a very learned person, and he goes to a lot of things are described there. I'm just giving in brief, and ultimately he goes to the devotees meets Vishwabasu, the leader of the tribal community, and he actually sees Neela Madhava, takes a darshan of her, and he's completely amazed. And he feels that he's actually seeing the Lord in person, because the devotion there and the way they worship was so personal. And then he also gets a chance to bathe in a holy river there, and also more than that, he gets the opportunity to taste the prasad. He's completely thrilled, and he's eager to run back to the kingdom and tell the that I've fallen and you can come there. But at the same time, Vishwabasu, the community leader, tells him that you can go and tell your king he can come, but one thing is there I know that this place is soon going to be covered by sand. He may not be able to see this, but nevertheless let him come. So, but you don't tell your king about this. Let him come and something will get revealed. So he goes and gives a very vivid description of the place that he's seen, and king gets very excited and then enthused, and he starts to go to that place to see Neela Madhava. And then at the same time, Narada appears, Narada gives him a lot of guidance. And then from then onwards, Indrajumna faces so many like hurdles, I would say, constraints and challenges. So every time he gets into a challenge, something or other happens. And in between itself, he comes to know that this is going to happen. And finally, he goes there, and in between, he asked to build a temple for Nrsimhadev. He placed Nrsimhadev, and ultimately, after so many turns and twists, he gets a message that Neelamadhava is covered here. You cannot see him, but you will have an opportunity to see Lord Jagannath, who is none other than other form of Neelamadhava. And he is going to come from a wooden, a trunk of a tree, the Aru Brahman, they call it a log of a tree. So then he listens, being a very enthusiastic and a devoted person, and also determined to see what's going to unfold. And then a lot of things happen, and then they find a log very, very miraculously. They find a big log, they get there, and he starts to get them calm. And Vishwakarma, Saint Vishwakarma is one of the greatest architect ever found in our scriptures. And it's also told in the Skanda Purana narration that actually Krishna himself comes as Vishwakarma to carve these deities. And there's another small pastime happens that he wants 21 days without anybody seeing, but Vishwakarma, Indrajumna's wife, gets a bit anxious because she doesn't hear any sound after 15th day, and they open the doors and Vishwakarma leaves, and that's how the shape of the deities are unfulfilled. Actually, it's not unfulfilled. The way they are there, and then Indrajumna is told that okay, this is what it is. This is how you get to know the Lord face to face. You install, you build a temple, and you do a grand ceremony, and he does. There's a lot of pomp and gaiety. The temple is built, and deities are made, and a very big installation ceremony happens where demigods and Lord Brahma and all people will come and watch. So that's how his question of seeing Lord to face ultimately ends up in he becoming a great instrument in building a temple in Puri, and that we are still seeing from the ages. So imagine the power of his potency of the question that we are able to, Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra have decided to manifest through him, through his devotional effort forever to bless the devotees. But then the question of why the 21 days, why he could not wait, what was the thing that happened, what was the pastime that Lord played through his wife, is that Lord actually wanted to come in this form only, in a form that we think it's a half, but actually it's a paripurna form, the full form. Is that once what happens is when Krishna is there in Dwarka as a king, he has 10 plus years in Vrindavan, very nice leader, and then he goes to Mathura, and then he goes to Dwarka, where he spends almost 100 years there. But generally, his queens find him to be a bit absent-minded, not so fully engaged with them, always thinking about something, and they come to know that Krishna is always thinking about Vrindavan, his pastimes, cowboy boys, friends, gopis. That's the lovely time that he had, where he has manifested so many leelas in that 10 to 12 years. So the queens, once they meet Rohini, Mother Rohini, and they ask her to tell the pastimes about Krishna. What is there in Vrindavan that is not there in Dwarka? Why is this person so not very connected with us? So Mother Rohini says, oh, these are very nice pastimes. Some of them are confidential. So I will tell you, but only my request is that we'll do it in a closed door meeting. I'll start narrating. So we'll try to prevent from Krishna and Balaram entering into this closed room, because if they come and again here, they'll go wild. As it is, they are pretty absent-minded. So let's not disturb them, agitate them in that way, constantly agitate them. So they make Subhadra as the doorkeeper. So Subhadra stands like this at the door, and Mother Rohini starts narrating. And as she is narrating, queens are also enjoying. Srimvatam Sagata Krishna, Punyeshwaramanatita. Vatam Prasanga, Mamavidya Samhito. So they have the natural taste to enjoy the pastimes of the Lord, just the way we have to cultivate the taste to enjoy the pastimes of the Lord. So they go into total trance, and the pastimes of the Lord are very different in mood, flavor, activities compared to Dwarka. Dwarka is a very formal situation here. So as they're enjoying, the Subhadra is also overhearing the conversation, and she also goes into a very blissful mood. Her eyes wide open and arms stretched, and she goes into a very deep blissful state because she's also overhearing. And Krishna and Balaram, they finished their palace work and they started coming to the queen's place, and the road is blocked, and they see Subhadra in a very different form and a mood and a facial contours and expression that they have never ever seen their sister like that. And as they come here, they also find that some variation of Vrindavan pastimes are going, and without even their control. And they also transcendently know they are in a very transcendental state. The eyes bathe and rolling and smiling and like this. And as they're enjoying, Narada appears there and sees that form. And Narada is a person who has the ability to traverse anywhere, any place he wants. He has got complete free visa. And you see many forms of Vishnu, many forms of the Lord. And he has never seen this, Krishna and Balaram and Subhadra. So he's completely also ecstatic. And then after that comes and they suddenly come back to their original consciousness and status. And Narada is so happy that he has seen this, which he has never seen. And so he requests Krishna that is there any chance that apart from me and the world at large, people can see this blissful form of yours. So then Krishna tells that okay, they will come to a king in a place called Holy Ram called Purushottama Kshetra. I'm going to manifest in this form so that everybody in the world can see, and that's why I'll be known as Lord Universe, Lord Jagannath. So that's why it's important for us, whenever we remember Lord Jagannath, we should know that he's in a very happy mood, right? If you are in a very happy mood, what happens? Then our children come and we give generally what we give more than what they expect, right? Sometimes. And as such, Lord is Atma Raman, is a self-satisfied personality. No one has to come externally to give him satisfaction. If nobody's praise is needed for him to become happy, right? He's a self-situated Atma Raman in the highest blissful form. But the manifestation of that blissful state of being Atma Raman is displayed in this Jagannath form. It's not that the Lord showed this Jagannath form and that's why he became blissful. Lord is already blissful. But people did not have an opportunity to see what would be that blissful state if it has to be figuratively seen. And that's why when we see Jagannath, he's always smiling, big eyes and hands stretched to give the mercy, always ready to give mercy. So this is the feeling we should have when we look at Jagannath and we worship Jagannath. Lord is in a very, very happy state, and you can go and ask anything. So you can basically get that mercy. And that's the whole thing, even in the mood of Jagannath Rath Yatra, where even people who do not come to him, he decides to come along with his brother and sister to bless them. And another, so this is the, in brief, the thing about Jagannath Baldev Subhadra manifestation. And Rath Yatra also has got a very interesting history. So this was there, and the worship of Jagannath was going on for a long time. But then Jagannath was also worshipped as a Vishnu form, and also his consort is Lakshmi. So the opulent worship was going on. But about 5,000 plus years back, the concept of Rath Yatra, the mood of Rath Yatra came when Sri Krishna once visited Kurukshetra on an eclipse day. And Sri Krishna, after he left Vrindavan, Sri Krishna when he left Vrindavan, he gives a promise that he will come back, but he never came back. It never happened. So the Vrajavasis, the people, inhabitants of Vraja, were always concerned, and their life is gone actually without Krishna. So they're always looking, when will this person come back, and he's never coming back. But so they happen to hear that Krishna has now come with his full entourage to Kurukshetra, and so they take this opportunity, whole flock of the Gokul and Nandagram and all those places, the gopis and Krishna's friends all go running towards Kurukshetra, because from a geographical distance point of view, Kurukshetra from Vrindavan, Mathura is much closer compared to Dwarka. Dwarka is very far. So they go there and see Krishna, but they're very much disappointed to see the mood of Krishna. The dress he is wearing is like a king, big chariot, and they don't know Krishna like that. They know Krishna as a friend, and they're playing with him. So they were a bit concerned, but they have a chat, and they say that no, you're given a promise, so you have to come back. So Krishna said, yeah, try. I'll come back. That kind of thing. But they come near his chariot and they try to pull the chariot toward him down. So that's how the concept of Ratha Yatra came, because it's a mood of separation, a mood of love and affection of the gopis, or the topmost devotees, are asking Krishna to come back to them. So in Ratha Yatra also, amidst the grand, spectacular, colorful, entertaining Ratha Yatra, this is the secret of Ratha Yatra. Ratha Yatra means when we are pulling the rope, we are basically asking the Lord to come near us, unto us, into our hearts. So this is what in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Manjari, like I said, externally Ratha Yatra is spectacular and colorful and entertaining. And the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, followers of Lord Chaitanya, they see the festival of chariots much more than a happy event. The pulling of God by the Lord's devotees symbolizes the attempt of the Vrajavasis, especially Srimati Radharani and the gopis, to bring Krishna, Balrama, Subhadra back to Vrindavan, that is their heart. Vrindavan can also represent the heart of Krishna's devotee. Moravan, Vrindavan. Vrindavana can also represent the heart of Krishna's devotee. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu prayed to Lord Krishna. For most people, the mind and heart are one. But because my mind is never separated from Vrindavan, I consider my mind and Vrindavan to be one. My mind is already in Vrindavan, and since you like Vrindavan, will you please place your lotus feet there? I would deem that you have full mercy. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also prayed to the Lord to be in the mood of Vrindavan. So the devotees from ISKCON, our line of religious faith, they follow Lord Jagannath in the way for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has followed him, pulling the Ratha cart and taking advantage of member of the Ratha Yatra, pulling and worshipping the Lord. So this is the three stories, the secret of the Ratha Yatra. And as I told in the beginning, that anyone who gets to know Jagannath and who starts worshipping him have got a very intimate relationship. So ever since the practice of Jagannath, or worship of Jagannath is happening in Jagannath Puri, obviously many so many pastimes have been told, documented, passed on to generations. So I'll quickly tell the nature of pastimes are very sweet. I'll tell two of those documented pastimes, and I also would like to share, if I have time permits for 5-10 minutes, I'll share some of my thinking, according to my understanding, what are the real life pastimes that Jagannath is performing around the world, right? So, so in the temple, in Jagannath temple, there is in the south entrance, when you go on the left side, you'll see that one Hanuman deity is there. He is called Kan Poda Hanuman. And Kan means ear, Poda means it's gone. It's broken. So in the olden days, right, when the city town did not develop around the temple, Jagannath temple is quite near the sea shore. And in that coastal area of India, the eastern coastal area, up slightly to the north, the Bay of Bengal is very rough. The sea used to make a lot of noise. So pujaris were having problems, particularly in the evenings and all, when noise settles down. The noise was so much because in the night also you see the waves increase, right? So the sound was there and they felt it was very disturbing. And so they asked him, what is this? We are not able to properly do that. And then he says, okay, let me get Hanuman because he's son of why Putra. Because I'll ask him to control the air. So Hanuman is installed and Hanuman is asked to take all the air. Because once you suck the air, sound doesn't come, right? The science also teaches us sound travels through air. And then after that, pujaris and all, everybody is happy that Hanuman is doing their service. But in the process of Hanuman doing the service of something, such a long noise that he lost his ears. Like in ISKCON also, we see some of the ISKCON leaders now, right? Because they used to participate in Sankirtana in such a loud and ecstatic manner, they used to forget about themselves, and now in an elderly age, they have some ear problem. Like Sankarshan Adhikari Prabhu is one among I know. I also know that there's something about Kavchandra Maharaj and he's on the Jayadrat Maharaj also, because they were not caring about life. So, like that, Hanuman also can't for Hanuman. So this looks like an interesting thing. But it's not a tale, it's actually true. Why it's true, I know why it's true is my mother, who hails from Odisha, she used to tell us that in their time, when they were young, that's about 70 years back, they used to actually see it. In the evening, the moment you're there at this side of the temple, Hanuman Mandir, you hear noise. You just cross, silence. She said that she has practically seen it. But nowadays it is difficult because the noise is high even in the nights. So some the believers believe that because of seen and experience, that is an interesting pastime. But the non-believers say that it's something an architectural miracle. Whatever is there, but it really happens. You can see the sound levels coming down after you cross. So similarly, there's another very good pastime again with Hanuman, called Baby Hanuman. Baby Hanuman is Hanuman with his shackle, like a prison thing. This again, what used to happen is during full moon days, we normally see water level goes up, right? And it used to come inside the temple, and that used to cause a lot of inconvenience to the priests and all. So again, they went and asked Jagannath. Like last time you saw the problem, and this time it solved. Again, why I'm telling this is most of the pastimes of Jagannath are very interactive. The people who worship very intimately had somehow connection to that his speak. Like the way Indra said, I want to go face to face. It's a very interesting thing about Jagannath. So Jagannath at that time said, no, it's a bit difficult thing. Sorry, it's difficult because sea is supposed to be his father-in-law because wife Lakshmi Devi came from sea. Yeah, so sea is he regarded sea as his father-in-law. So it's very difficult to deal with my father-in-law. I can't say my father not to come because my father-in-law is interested to come and serve me. So you people are asking my father not to come. But then there's an exchange happens between devotees and the Lord also understands that this is a real problem. And then again they ask Hanumanji to take care so that the water doesn't come. And Hanuman keeps on doing that service, but everybody is happy. Lord again listen to them. Hanumanji is doing double service, double duty. And suddenly one day, one full moon day, water comes. That wave of water comes into the temple, and everybody is concerned. What happened today? And then they look here and there, and they do the root cause analysis. And first thing, the person who's in charge, they go right. Something happens. Something breaks open. You go to the security guard, right? So they go and look for Hanuman. There, Hanuman is not there. He is not doing his duty. So then they are very surprised, and when they go to the Lord, and the Lord says, let me settle down, let's see what's the issue, let me solve the problem. And by that time, Hanuman again comes back. He says, sorry, what happened? So he said, see, the water came, we have kept you for your duty, and you have left. Where have you gone? So Hanuman says that, devotees here are giving me the prasad that you take, offer to you as bhog, and they give me prasadam, but it's not very spicy. Somehow it tastes a bit dull to me. I'm trying to eat that. So in our Ayodhya, normally the prasadam is more opulent, more tasty. So suddenly it became a bit tempted today. So I flew to Ayodhya to have some spend time with my friends and family. So, but by the time this happened, so everybody is a bit concerned. This person is going, so that's why they said, no, this is the service of the Lord. You are known, you are the greatest servant. You are known to do your duty perfect. So let us tell you, and baby means time, and you can see that the two things time. And of course, the Lord just not died, but during the full moon days, there's actually a festival that happens in that place. The Lord also goes and worships his father-in-law, see God, and also Hanuman is also given special, dishes on that day, apart from the to keep him busy. So the purpose of telling these pastimes is that very intimate. These are the pastimes, come long back, right? I'll try to narrate my own realization of the pastimes of Jagannath Baldev Subhadra. It's not that something happened to me directly, but what I perceive. This is one of my favorite thinking, that when I think that, okay, these great people have seen, experienced the pastimes. We are fortunate to talk about them, enjoy about them, but we have not seen. Is there any pastime of Jagannath happening in my life? Is there anything that before I end this life, I can say that I've seen some of these great pastimes that Jagannath does? Are they happening? Or am I not been very conscious to look into this? When I introspect myself, one thing that comes is that the Jagannath pastime, particularly with respect to ISKCON, are always happening. If you see from 1966, when Srila Prabhupada has started ISKCON in a small storefront in New York, and to now, in 50 plus years, 600 plus temples, 65 rural communities, 110 vegetarian restaurants, 52 schools and colleges, 516 million books, 3 billion of vegetarian meals sent, so 1.2 million meals, school meals sent every day. So many devotees doing the Padayatra, that means doing the Nagar Sankirtan, going to place to do that. 3,600 known registered study groups and 1,000 Harinam parties. We have seen one of those 1,000 today. Very nice. Kirtan. And these are not my figures. These are ISKCON communication figures 2 years back. So why I'm telling this? This is how ISKCON has grown, and no other probably spiritual organization, at least from this Sanatana Dharma point of view, from Hindu connected philosophy point of view, has grown so big in such a short time. One of the triggers, one of the accelerators for this growth is the introduction of Jagannath Rath Yatra festival. In my opinion, it's one of the very significant one, because it's an open all event. It's completely outreach event, and that event has all the things that what we normally do separately. It has book distribution, it has Harinam chanting, it has discourses, it has prasadam distribution, it has decoration, it has management, government agencies involvement, media exposure, calling VIPs. It has got everything that is there. And since Srila Prabhupada, mercy and Jagannath's mercy, that Jagannath Baldev Subhadra made Srila Prabhupada as their instrument to bring Jagannath Rath Yatra to West and link it with ISKCON, because before Srila Prabhupada went to San Francisco, Jagannath was not there. Jagannath himself came. Srila Prabhupada did not take Jagannath. Jagannath himself decided to come in a very strange manner into ISKCON. And that's it. And Jagannath Rath Yatra started after a certain time. And we see this is one of the miracles that I see. That how can an organization worldwide now, Jagannath Rath Yatras are going on. I'll just give it things later at the end of the thing, how what happens in a place that I live. So this is one thing that it is very, very important, and how it we also, most of you must be knowing it. It just so happened one day, Malati Dasi, she went to an Indian Costco Cost Plus store or something like that in San Francisco, and she found some dolls. And what attracted her to pick up one doll was this is made in India. So she knows that Prabhupada is from India, so she thought that doll would impress him. So she took one doll and then took and put it in her home, and Srila Prabhupada had seen it, and he called his wife Shamsundar Prabhu and said, "What is this? Who has brought this?" I said, "Malati has brought this." So did she? And she asked Malati to come, and Malati gets very worried whether she did anything wrong. So Prabhupada said, "Where did you get this?" And she said, "I picked up from this store. It's an import store. Did I do any mistake?" No, Prabhupada said, "You did a mistake. You did a great thing." But did you find similar things at dolls like that? 3 set dolls? She said, "There are many like that." So he said, "Go and get one set." And she brings the other two. And when those things are placed, it's very nice narration. And Srila Prabhupada pays obeisances to that. And he then declares that Lord Jagannath has come. Lord Jagannath by himself has come to rest. And now he is going to do his pastimes. And then he asks, is there anybody who can do carpentry? Shamsundar says, "I know a little bit." And then Srila Prabhupada goes and explains to them how the deities should be carved. And interestingly, very, very interesting, just like the way Indrajumna has found a big log of wood to carve Jagannath deities, these people also, a very, very strange, very, very unexpected manner, they get a big log and deities are carved, and the first Rath Yatra takes place later. And that's the beginning. And that Rath Yatra started from San Francisco, attracted so many devotees. And the story is that every town and village now, every town, at least big town, has at least one Rath Yatra every. And Rath Yatra story doesn't end there from an ISKCON perspective. How many minutes I have?
5 minutes.
Right, okay. So quickly, briefly, Rath Yatra connection to ISKCON doesn't normally start here. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Kedarnath, who later known as Bhaktivinoda Thakur, was who basically has re-established almost forgotten Sankirtana movement and the principles of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching. He was a district magistrate, and it so happened during his career when he was trying to establish, and people have gone into different deviations, and he's trying his hard to get it. He was a very great devotee, very powerful personality. When he was doing that, in his tenure as working the court, he gets transferred to Puri. See the connection one by one here. He gets transferred to Jagannath Puri as a district magistrate, and their house, the government quarters or house, exactly is located on the Grand Road, right on the road where Jagannath is. And at the same time, he was also praying to the Lord, "Let me have one solid personality in my home as my son or daughter or whatever, who can carry on my mission." And to answer his prayers in 1874, they are blessed with a son. And prior to that, his wife also is praying to Vimala Devi, that is Durga Devi or Parvati, who also has a shrine in the Puri temple. A very important pastime also is there. We will not go into that. So every food item that is given presented to Lord as bow, once it gets honored by the Lord, it has to go through Vimala Devi. Vimala Devi takes it, honors it, and then it only gets distributed as prasad. So there's a very big story there. But Vimala Devi's prasad is then only it becomes a Mahaprasad, the big prasad. That's where Jagannath Puri prasad is very, very famous, right? So they named this boy as Vimala Prasad because they think that because of their prayers to Durga or Vimala Devi, this personality has come, and Durga Devi is very much connected with Jagannath. So when Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati was there, is it time up? Sydney? Okay. So 3 years old, when he was 3 months old, Jagannath Rath Yatra is happening, and strange enough, you see, Kedarnath, Bhaktivinoda Thakur gets transferred to Orissa, the district magistrate, and he gets appointed as an administrator of Puri. He's praying to this Lord, and he gets a mercy of Vimala Devi, who is a very close associate of Jagannath. And Jagannath Rath Yatra happens that year when the boy is 3 months old. And like before I told, sometimes the Raths just stop. No matter what people do, they don't move. And this many times, many people have tried to research and understand what goes behind that pastime. Nobody understands. So on that year, it so happened that the Rath also got stopped just opposite to Kedarnath's house. And it's not moving. It's doing, trying to move 1 day, 2 day, 3rd day. So much of commotion, right? There's a thing that is supposed to finish the Rath Yatra in 6 to 8 hours, and it's 3 days. Total schedule, out of schedule, and a lot of commotion was happening. And taking that opportunity that Rath is there in front of this and the small baby is there, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was quite climbs the chariot, and she is paying the obeisances along with the baby. Very common, right? When we see, particularly when babies are there, young daughters, mothers tend to get their blessings from the babies. And the Lord has stopped in front of their house, and suddenly some flowers from Jagannath automatically, without anybody's notice, came and fell on him. So that, because she was praying to Jagannath Devi, and he got the son, and when she saw this happening, she saw that something very, very strange. It was ecstatic, and immediately they also performed Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Swami's grain ceremony there itself. So he's getting the blessing from Lord Jagannath and grain ceremony happening, and then he carried on his father's mission. And then, see the very interesting thing, the same that Jagannath blessings, empowerment also is there. And at the time in 1896, 22 years later, when Srila Prabhupada was born, Srila Prabhupada's parents also had encouraged him to participate in Jagannath Rath Yatra. They gave him a small rath and used to conduct Rath Yatras. And same with that Jagannath understanding, Prabhupada meets Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Swami, who was blessed by Jagannath and who empowers Prabhupada to go to West. And in the West, by his Guru's mercy or Jagannath's thing, Jagannath travels to him. And then the Rath Yatra comes. So it's a very beautiful, it looks like a very coincident thing, but it's very difficult to believe it as a coincidence. So we need to know, this is where we can see Jagannath pastimes. We can experience the Jagannath pastimes. So I'll just quickly, briefly tell about the place where I live. I live in a country called United Arab Emirates. This is another first pastime for me of Jagannath manifesting in front of my eyes. The way ISKCON is growing and the way Jagannath Rath Yatras are spreading worldwide, right? So I live in a country called United Arab Emirates. It's one of the small countries in the Middle East region. There, the open practice of other religions is not allowed. Only a very restricted indoor worship is allowed. So it's a very small place. Just to give the context, because we are all people who are Texans or Texas people, you always talk about big, right? How big you are. That's how you want to measure yourself. So if you consider Texas as a country, assuming people, I heard some people say Texas is a country, right? In terms of size. If you consider Texas as not as a state, as a country, United Arab Emirates, where we live, is about 8 times smaller. Only 12% of your state is the country where I live. And in that United States, in United Arab Emirates, in a restricted environment, in a small country where 70 to 80% of the population do not follow or they are not allowed to follow anything other than their own religious faith, we have, can you guess, happening 30 plus Rath Yatra festivals happen every year, all in the year. So this is, I'm talking about a country. Okay, unlike United States, you have 50 plus states, right? United Arab Emirates also has 7 states. So one of the states where I live is called Dubai. That is only 15% of that state, which is 8 times smaller than Texas. And in our small, we are very minute compared to you people. In that, we have at least 15 Rath Yatras conducted every year, all indoors, and thousands of people come. If this is not a miracle of Srila Prabhupada, it's not a miracle of how Jagannath is manifesting. What else? So it's a very clear thing, and people get attracted, and once they get into this Jagannath mood, they just want to celebrate. Even a small congregation, they group together, some small few houses, no matter. And this, again, statistics I'm telling, currently I don't hold any leadership position in the congregation there. I'm just a congregation member. These are the numbers that I know. That means these are the things that people, someone who know me, because we have been there for a long time, they call me. So that's how I take the count. But there are something else also happening. So it's very interesting. This is a pastime, and this I think is really a mercy of Prabhupada and Jagannath Rath Yatra, and this has helped us actually as a congregation. 30 years back, there were only 2 or 3 families. Just 30 years back. Now the congregation is about 4,500 plus. And Jagannath Rath Yatras have always been a very big impetus in getting people attracted to those things. And the another sideline pastime that I want to narrate is seeing ISKCON. Seeing ISKCON, the way they are celebrating Jagannath Rath Yatras, so many new people coming and so many people liking it. The Odisha community in those regions have now started to conduct Rath Yatras on them by themselves. They got the inspiration. So to imagine a Rath Yatra that is going outside, and we are able to inspire the native people from Odisha for whom Jagannath is their life. So Jagannath is doing such a nice pastime to inspire them through us. Through us means through the power of Srila Prabhupada. So it's very interesting, and these are the 2 things which I always see that Jagannath does these pastimes very, very interesting manner. So my end thought and wish here is that I seek your blessings so that we continue to be in this mood of Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, of pulling the Lord into our heart and keeping him within our heart and be in the mode of service, because Jagannath worship is service, and in a manner which is joyful, and we can approach him whenever we want because he's always in a blissful state. I want to say a few things here. Today is a very auspicious day, Shaya Ekadashi. It's a day when Chaturmasa, the 4 months of austerity, starts. And in Maharashtra, in the very great this place called Pandharpur, where Lord Krishna is worshipped as Lord Vittal, so many thousands and thousands of devotees gather there. They carry the play cards and figures of great acharyas of Maharashtra, Tukaram, Ramdev, and they sing the great songs that they've written, and they all come to this place in Pandharpur. It's on the banks of Chandrabhaga River, and there's a very nice temple. And one of the very prominent ISKCON leaders, His Honorable Lokanath Swami, is also from that place. Lakhs and lakhs of people do it. And it's a day when the Lord and the demigods are supposed to go to kind of a relaxing state the next 4 months. And in the olden days, people used to use these 4 months, the Chaturmas, as 4 months of meditation, learning, and being there near with the gurus, because it used to be rainy season. Traveling used to be difficult, and that's how the Chaturmas come. And there's a kind of austerity one can follow every month. 1 month without spinach, 1 month without milk, 1 month without yogurt, and 1 month without urad dal. That's how it comes. But nevertheless, it's a very auspicious day. Chaturmasya starts, Ekadashi. So on these auspicious days, and also being very, very happy with you to share and remember the pastimes of Jagannath, I wish that this yatra, this congregation also grows. And one thing, remember, I've seen it in 2 congregations that I'm part of it, is that for every congregation, there is an unlocking moment or unlocking moments that come to the congregation, and that catapults a very good period of stabilization and growth. So on this Shana Ekadashi, we are talking about Rath Yatra, remembering Jagannath. We pray that this 4305 Sam Bows Road Round Rock congregation will soon be able to celebrate a Jagannath Rath Yatra, at least in the presence of this nice open community to start with, and you try to do that and see how Jagannath is going to reciprocate you. Hopefully I'll be back to see that manifestation of Jagannath also, so that I can record in my notes another miracle that Lord Jagannath can do if we have that intention to serve Him, to see Him face to face, and to participate in this glorious festival. So, wish you all the best to have a small, at least, Rath Yatra. You have a nice place. All that you need to do, probably do a small work for the Rath to go squarish. They can do beautiful. I don't know whether permissions are allowed or not, but I mean, this is my wish, my prayer. So all the best to you, and a big, big thanks for all of you to give me an opportunity to be absorbed in thinking of Lord Jagannath and to share some few things that I know mainly as a reachable vision to all of you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.